Okay. Today we will see how to block uh, traffic on port 80 towards your checkpoint gateway. In BA is allowed on your checkpoint gateway interfaces, and this is generally, a lot of port scanning are happening on the internet, and when these scanners try to scan your ports on checkpoint gateway, they will try to scan all the ports, and your SOC team might see port 80 traffic is getting allowed in the from the logs of checkpoint, okay, uh, which are sent to the SIEM, and by seeing the logs of allowed traffic, they might raise an incident saying that traffic 8 is allowed on checkpoint. Please check. So these actually, on checkpoint port 80 and port 443 are controlled by implied rules, and they are generally used for gateway portals. So what are gateway portals? These are the examples of gateway portals like mobile access portal, secure platform portal, identity awareness captive portal, etc. So these portals, when you enable on checkpoint gateway, and when you try to access them over port 80 or port 443, okay, so generally port 80 is not open at all. It gets redirected to port 443 by default. So all these portals can be accessed. You can control the access of this portal using firewall policies, or you can block the access from external interfaces and allow only from internal interfaces. But even those cases, like these port scan attempts, you will see the logs in checkpoint firewall, and you can see that port 80 traffic gets allowed by implied rule. Okay, so let me show you on the lab. So this is my topology. Checkpoint interface is configured with 192.168.1.2 as external interfaces. There is a remote host. I'm using Fortinet firewall to testing. So this is connected over internet. Let me generate some traffic. If I open my Fortinet firewall, okay, let's try to reach over port 80 on checkpoint interface, which is 192.168.1.2. If I go to logs, let me refresh the logs. Okay, so yeah, so yeah, if you see this particular log, section.5, nothing but my checkpoint Fortinet remote host, which is behind my checkpoint external interfaces. We try to reach 172.168.1.2, and this traffic got accepted by implied rule. Because if you see my policies, there is no any rule allowing this traffic. I have only, if I see, I have configured to block traffic 80 from any source towards checkpoint interface, but this rule didn't get hit because implied rules are this particular implied rule has a precedence over the access rule, so it's allowed by implied rule. And if you see, there is no any other rule allowing this traffic. Okay, so now, yeah, even though it shows traffic allowed on port 80 in the logs, okay, behind the scenes it gets redirected, because let me show you on CLI. Yeah, if I go to export mode, and I already run that command. Let me run it again. So if I show the current status of redirect, it's 1. So this means traffic gets redirected to port 443. We can disable this redirect by entering a command by setting this redirect enable lead to 0. If you see, this is the command to block the redirect. So if anyone try to reach port 80, the traffic will not get the redirect, it will get dropped. But I'll still, even if you do this, you will still see, let me show you. Anyway, I cannot, right now portal is enabled, but yeah, if you set this to 0, the traffic will get denied, but still you will see a implied rule allowing traffic 80 on the interface. So this is not an actually issue, but sometimes SOC teams or your infra team uh, wants this port to be blocked. They don't want to see traffic on port 80 getting allowed on their firewalls. So for this, we can use SAM rule to block port 80 traffic on the checkpoint gateway. Let me show you how to do that. So If I see, okay, let me close this. Because SAM rule, has the highest precedence. It is SAM rule or SAM database is checked before the implied rules or before the access rules. So what you can do, you can go to Smart Monitor and there is a SAM rule database. Right now I don't have any database. If I can check, there is no any rule. So I can add a rule. Let's say this is my gateway. Okay, from traffic from any source, any internet reaching my external interface 192.168.1.2 over port 80. Okay, I don't want traffic on port 80. Okay, so let me choose port 80. I can use custom port also, but let's use the okay CTP and this I can keep never. Okay, okay, let me yeah. So default action is drop and traffic is locked. Okay, now this rule, SAM rules, as soon as you enter, it gets installed. You don't have to push any policy. Let me show you. Now let us try again same test. Let's try to reach over port 80 from Fortinet, which is remote host. Now see the logs. Okay, so if you see 16.16.5 trying to reach 192.168.1.2, which is getting dropped. If you see, this is dropped by a SAM rule. So this is the simplest method to drop traffic, over port 80 from internet towards your gateways. But this, care should be taken because if you disable port 80 or port 443, now there are chances that you might lose some functionality of your checkpoint portals, or you may have to tweak some ports for them to work. So, uh, yeah, this should be done carefully. And